Call the meeting to order. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
Thanks, Keith.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Boe?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Here.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mrs. Wolak?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Thank you.
In accordance with the terms of the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was posted in all school buildings, the administration building, the Borough Clerk's office, police headquarters, public library, 4 newspapers, WCTC, on January 9th, 2020. There is no smoking on school grounds, inside or out, at any time. Please silence all electronic devices. And pursuant to District Policy 0167, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration, and no participant may speak more than once on the same topic. At this point in time, the board is going to go into executive session to discuss legal and personnel matters. Your motion?
Motion.
Second. Second.
We'll be back in
Doug?
about 30 minutes.
Doug,
Yes,
we have to add to that confidential student matter as well.
and confidential student matters. Thank you, Mr. Zittimer. Okay, we will be back in approximately 30 minutes. Okay, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
Mr. Boe?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Panisi?
Here.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mrs. Wolak?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here.
We're back.
All right. Mr. Zittimer, are you with us? Okay, there we go. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. And before we continue on with the agenda right here, I just want to take a moment and I want to say that it is Teachers Appreciation Week. And I want to, on behalf of the entire Board of Education, in the public meeting right now, tell our teachers that we really appreciate all their hard work and dedication, not only during this difficult time where you've all stepped up to the plate and doing a fantastic job, but all the time. So we wanted to let you know that this is a week where I'm sure during school you would be getting, if school was typical, you would be getting gifts, cards, or whatever from your students. And we want to let you know that the entire Board of Education appreciates each and every one of you. So moving right along into our, do we have any agenda additions or deletions? No, all right, I jumped ahead there, but that's okay. We're going to review the board goals for 2019-2020 school year. Dr. Leshak, do you want to go over these?
Actually, what I'm going to ask you to do is, in light of everything that we've been dealing with and what the state just asked us to come up with, we've been focused on that. I'm going to ask if we can push this to the June meeting, and then I'll have a presentation for you with the board goals and the district goals.
Okay, would somebody make a motion to table?
Motion. Second.
You want to take a roll call on that, please, Alex? Motion to table the board review of goals until the June meeting.
Mr. Boe?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolak?
Yes.
Mr. Cassio?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving right along, we're going to go to the superintendent's report where Mr. Yaziki is going to go over the district wellness presentation. Murat, you are muted.
Thank
Here we
you.
go.
Should I share my screen, or since you have the PowerPoint, you want me to?
Would you mind?
Yes.
Would you mind so that the public could see it then?
Okay, oh, sorry.
Mute myself.
Okay. You can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. I'm just gonna keep it really short since we have the budget hearing too. We met 3 times this year for the Wellness Committee to discuss the district's food service program, health, physical education programs, and the district's current wellness policy. In April, we sent out the survey to the principals. We have an average of 90% compliance rate throughout the district in terms of the wellness policy and the federal guidelines. Based on the survey, I will update the New Jersey assessment tool, and both the survey results and the assessment tool will be available on the district's website. I just want to mention 2 things that we started working on this year, kind of new, and hopefully we will continue working on it in the next year. The first one is the National Healthy Schools Award under Alliance for a Healthier Generation. This is a nonprofit organization that was founded by the American Heart Association and the Clinton Foundation in 2005 as a response to the growing rate of childhood obesity. But now it is not just childhood obesity. They have resources from employee wellness to family engagement, nutrition services, health education, and so on. So we started utilizing some of these tools in our committee as well. So the National Healthy Schools Award is an excellent tool under this organization to encourage individual schools to go beyond the federal guidelines. We already started working on this, and hopefully we are planning to apply in the fall when they open the new 2020 application. And we are planning to start with the high school and expand that to the other schools that we have in the upcoming year. The second thing that we are working on is the Parents as Champions. This is a program run by an organization called SPAN, Student Parents Advocacy Network, and it is sponsored by the New Jersey Department of Health. The program is specifically for the student parents between 5 to 12th grade students. And currently we have a total of 9 parents involved in this, and from high school, middle school, and grant. We have 3 groups with 3 parents on each group. This initially, it was planned to have a full 2-day in-person training for the parents, but after everything, now they will have a 4-day interactive Zoom meetings, and each meeting will be 2 hours. So in total, they're going to have 8 hours of training under various topics like social health, emotional health, mental health, about the students. And after completing, they will get a $125 personal stipend. And at the end of the training, they will also have a chance to apply for in total $2,100 grant to use in the school. Hopefully the plan is to expand this, and hopefully we will have more parents into this program, and more parents will have this training as well. That's all for the wellness support. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.
I have a question,
Yes.
Mr. Yaziki, related to that parent training.
Yes.
Did you say the parents would have the opportunity to apply for a grant that would be given to the school?
Yes. So each school, the grant is $700 for each school, but they can combine it. In total, it can be up to $2,100, and it can be used in the current programs that we have, or they can create a new program if they want to buy something. If we're going to bring some talk to the school, we can use that. So it is a non-competitive grant, and they will have a chance to work on it at the end of the fourth session.
Okay, so is it each parent that finishes the training can apply for the grant? Is that correct?
No, they can apply as a group. So high school will apply, middle school will apply, and the grant school will apply separately.
Excellent. And then if the parent completes the 8 hours, they get paid $125?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Mrs.
I
Bowe,
have a
you have a
question.
question? Mhm.
Yes, the $125 stipend, that comes from the Department of Health
Yes.
or from the Alliance?
It is coming from the Alliance, but basically the Department of Health is funding the Alliance. So it is coming from the Department of Health.
Okay, so that doesn't come out of our budget, correct?
No.
Any other questions for Mr. Yaziki? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Yaziki. Great report. Great job. All right. Moving along to the superintendent's report, Dr. Leshek.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman, and thank you, Mr. Yazici. Nice job. I only have a couple things that I wanted to talk about this evening before we get into the budget presentation. First, I wanted to echo Mr. Chapman's sentiments. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, so I just want to say thank you to all of our teachers who go above and beyond, and especially in the situation that we're in right now. What a wonderful job they're doing. So I just wanted to give a thanks and a shout out to those teachers. And today happens to be Nurses Day. So I wanted to thank our nurses as well. Not only do they take care of our students when they're in the schools, but they've been working very hard. If you had the opportunity to go online and see the weekly updates that they're doing and taking all of the questions from the public, and they're working on plans with us for our pandemic updates we have to do, and also reopening the school. So I just want to say thank you. We're very lucky to have the teachers and the nurses that we have in South Plainfield. So thank you for that. Just wanted to remind parents that we have so many wonderful things going on in the district right now. Please make sure that you check your building websites and our district page so you don't miss anything. Things are going up all the time. And if you are not on our Facebook, you need to get on there because you're missing really wonderful videos that are going up and lessons that are going up. So please make sure, if you haven't gone on to Facebook and liked our page, please go ahead and do that, because that's how you're going to see all the wonderful things that our teachers and our students are doing. I just wanted to also give a public thanks, because I received so many messages, text messages, emails, and people looking for me personally on Facebook so they could message about how wonderful the sports ceremony, the virtual sports ceremony that we did on Friday was, and how much the kids and the parents really loved it. So I'd like to thank the coaches, all the coaches who took part in that. The voice that you hear over all of our games. I have to apologize. I only refer to him as Norm. He was the intro to, so somebody could help me out with the last name there. Norm, what's Norm's last name?
Lonzer.
I mean, he's the voice when you hear that come across the loudspeakers. That's fantastic. So I appreciate that. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Cassio, Chris Cassio, who put in many, many hours and made changes as I wanted it to happen. So I just wanted to thank him for taking care of that. So thank you there. And the other thing is, we sent out an email today. Our teachers are letting our students know. We've partnered up again with the borough for a wonderful program called Light the Fight, South Plainfield Unite. And the borough had passed a resolution along with the county asking the residents to put a flameless candle or a lantern outside their homes in the evening as a support for the frontline workers. And the mayor and I had a conversation and said, what can we do to get involved in it as a school district? And we came up with a plan that on the 14th of May, which is a Thursday night, we are asking all of our residents, we're going to ask our students, we're asking our teachers, between now and May 14th, if you will come by the middle school and drop off a jar with a candle in it. So a mason jar, some type of but it has to be a glass jar that you can decorate, you can do whatever you want with it. And we will take that jar and put it on the front lawn of the middle school. And we're hoping to get hundreds and hundreds, so we can recognize our frontline workers. And at dusk, we will light those candles. And I can just imagine what a beautiful sight that will be as you're driving down in front of the middle school, the front lawn all lit up with candles to show our support and our appreciation for our frontline workers. So between everybody in our school district and our wonderful South Plainfield community, along with the borough, we'll have so many candles out there that'll just be a sight to see. And one more thing that South Plainfield does to really appreciate their frontline workers. So we're hoping that you'll become a part of that and decorate a jar and recognize a frontline worker for us. So we have that as well. That's actually all I have in my report before I go to the budget. So if you're ready for that.
Well, first thing I have to do is I have to ask if there's any public comments on any agenda items. And what I was remiss in, and I apologize, is reading the telephone number. And I don't know where that page went.
I have that page. The telephone number
Yes, please.
is 908-754-4620, extension 1680. And I will be serving as your operator this evening if you call.
So if there's any public comments on any agenda items only, please either raise your hand virtually in the meeting or call into the telephone number that Dr. Leshak just gave, please.
Will I read it one more time?
Yes, please.
908-754-4620, extension 1680.
No calls? No? Nobody virtually raising their hand either? All right, let's move along to the public hearing of the budget.
All right. Mike, if you wouldn't mind pulling the budget up. All right, before I begin the budget presentation, I just would like to say, although you see on the screen there, my name and the business administrator, Alex Benanti, and Marat Yazizi, our assistant business administrator, I just want to acknowledge that this budget wasn't just developed by the three of us. It's also developed by all of the central office administrators. So Ms. Maleska, Mr. Estrada, Mr. Brandon, very involved in that. All of our building principals, Mr. Wiggins. So it takes a village. And I want to let the public know that this budget was built with the direction of the board, and they had certain items that they wanted to make sure that they were covered this year. So with full support of the board, this is the budget that we sent off to the county for their approval. So now we're just doing this for the public so that you can make your comments. All right, I'm going to ask Mike if you wouldn't mind just flipping through. Thank you to our board members and our mission statement that is available on our website and all of our agendas. So Mike, next. So our allocation of district funds, there's a number of things that we make sure that we concentrate on each year to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our students. Our instructional programs, special services, which takes up a large portion of our budget, our elementary technology, in order for us to make sure that we have the devices that we need and we have connectivity there as well. We have a focus on security for maintaining our SROs. And then we have a couple of other things we had to take care of. In this particular budget, we are going to be replacing the paging and internal alerting system district-wide. So in all of our schools, they've been in need of updating for a very long time. Our athletics and extracurricular, our maintenance, buildings and grounds, transportation, and our capital projects. So this is what we're focusing on for the coming school year. Our district priorities include maintaining all instructional programs. We're also concentrating on maintaining our class sizes. But this budget was developed before we were talking about social distancing. So for right now, we're looking at maintaining our class sizes as they are today. Maintaining all of our special education programs and courses, increasing our elementary guidance, adding an additional part-time ESL teacher as our population is growing, additional course offerings at the high school for electives, and the purchase of technology devices for our elementary schools. If you want to flip that. Our instructional programs, oops, did I miss it? I'm sorry. Wait, I flipped over to the wrong side here. Okay. We're also looking to upgrade our infrastructure for online learning platforms and internal system access, which we want to make sure that we are ready to go in the event that anything ever happens like this or we have to go out again. We are running well, but just to make sure that we're on the cutting edge and we have everything ready that we need to. We are going to expand our response to intervention program. It's been working well. We're expanding it onto another grade. Increase the science offerings at the high school. We're focusing on replacing our K-12 social studies curriculum, the writing text and resources. Increase the use of online platforms for student assessment. So we're looking at Linkit and possibly some others. And we are looking at developing teacher virtual resource library for online instruction. So we're going to be building an online library so that our teachers can use that as they're planning their lessons and instructing in class, whether it's online or in the classroom. Our instructional programs, I'm just going to give you a second to take a look at what's up there, but these are all of the curriculums that we are writing over the summer. So we're looking at, there are 20 that are being looked at and being updated, either a rewrite or an update to it, as well as Ms. Maleska makes sure that we are on our right cycle in order that we are in line with the standards. So those will be done over the summer. Mr. Estrada? The next page shows our what we're buying in terms of curriculum text and online resources, as well as programs. If you'll notice that there are 3 that are highlighted in green there, and that means that there are new courses being added into our curriculum. So there are 3 that are also being written, and the materials we need to focus on for that. Want to flip to the next one? The next one is we're taking a look at our online platforms, as well as continuing and expanding some very popular programs that we have moving through our elementary schools. Our Wingman program, I can tell you that everybody is looking to be a part of this program. It's really taking off. We're also looking at bringing in some additional Wilson Foundations program as part of our RTI, Tools of the Mind, all these things that are online and expansive programs that we know are going on in our schools and are things that the students are involved in and like. Our next area we're taking a look at, and also takes up a portion of our budget, is our special services department. There's a number of slides that go along with special services, but we are looking to maintain all instructional programs and special services from pre-K to grade 12, including a transition program. Increase preschool disability program by 1 class. So we'll have a total of 2. Increase enrollment in the 18 to 21-year-old transition academy, which has been a very popular program that we got into, I believe it was 2 years ago. Person-centered approach to in school and transition. So we're going to certify 2 facilitators in that, and the New Jersey ARC continue our transition program there. So we're expanding that program, those programs. Next, we are going to be expanding our social skills initiative. We will be migrating all related services to in-district staff. What that means is we are going to be eliminating our outside contracts for our OT and our PT. So we're able to now facilitate those in our own district, which is a savings to our district. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be adding an additional 1 a child study team member. So we will have full teams in all of our schools, and we will continue to establish partnerships to increase the proficiency level of educator in multi-sensory reading support programs. So we'll be giving, making sure that our teachers are trained and they have what they need to have in order to instruct our students. I'm going to just have you look at this for a moment. These are a number of programs that we are continuing as we move forward onto the next school year. The only thing that is changing for us is there's an increase in out-of-district placements are projected. It's not in the amount of students who are going out of district. It's the amount of increase in the tuition for those that are going out. So we're projecting it should be about 5. It should be about 5% above what it was last year, and that's the number that they're telling us that we should be getting once our students are in their private school. Anything that has to do with transportation. If you want to flip that forward, Mike. The next one, we are continuing our STEP program, our LIFE program, our Project Inspire program at Franklin School, and our Transition Academy. All of these are programs that have proved to be very beneficial to our students, and we are obviously going to support them in any way that we can. The next one, Mike. These are some of the online components that we use with our special services department. They're beneficial to our students in that it helps reinforce what they're getting in their classroom. And many of our students have devices that are home with them, and they practice while they're home on these online platforms. So we're going to keep those as well. Our special services department, for the most part, is funded through our local fund. So it's funded through the district. However, we do receive IDEA money for our individuals disabilities grant that we receive, which is an entitlement grant. We use it for the most part for our out-of-district tuition costs and related services. We also have district funds that are allocated to support special services programs. So they're all the things that we do in order to make sure that our special services department is fully functional and able to support their students. Next. Our other priority, or it's a big priority of mine, it's always been something that I keep my eyes on. We are maintaining our SROs that we have in our district. We have 3. I will tell you that anytime I'm ever in public and we have the opportunity to talk about security, the parents will always say to me that they are appreciative of the fact that our SROs are there. Not to mention that I have seen many occasions where the students are running up to the SROs in their building, officers, the Officer Zach, and they've just become part of the school. So they're there for our safety, but they're there for our mental well-being as well. We will be replacing the internal paging and alert systems district-wide. Some of our systems are almost as old as the building, so they are all going to be replaced, and that's great. And then there are a couple of other security measures that unfortunately I cannot share with you, but they are necessary based on the conversations that we have with our police department and the recommendations for the Department of Education. So we are also putting some funding in there as well. Athletics is a big part of our budget. It's a big part of our student lives. So the majority of the athletic budget is allocated to the coaches' salaries. For 2021, it is the same. We are allocating our funds there to make sure that we are able to meet the cost of the salaries, as well as the requirements for yearly dues, the rental fees, the entry fees for numerous athletic programs that are within the district and our athletic budget. And in addition, we have middle school athletics, and they're now being assessed a fee in order to be a part of that. This is actually an increase that is happening over 3 years. It started last year, and we are moving up to our 3-year plan, which is what the state is recommending that we do. A large portion of the athletic funds is allocated for the replacement of equipment, because they do have a lot of wear and tear. We have some equipment that we repair and then that we maintain things like our mats and our gymnastics equipment. The funds are allocated for the maintenance and repair of a number of items that we use in our athletic department. Our safety checks, our reconditioning and replacement of helmets and equipment, our concussion testing, which is important, our required coaches certificates, and the sanitation and maintenance of our practice and competition mats and equipment. So we have to make sure that that's done for safety and health purposes. South Plainfield's athletic budget supports 58 athletic programs throughout the district. The budget includes the coaches, the stipends, the equipment, the purchase, the repair, the officials, and the security. The district has close to 80% of our student population that participates in multi-sports athletic programs. And the athletic funds are allocated for the replacement of the equipment and uniforms. So that's a big part of ours. We also have allocated in our budget our extracurricular and clubs. So I'll just give you a second to look at all the ones that we support. There are 18 total in the middle school and the high school and the middle school and the elementary schools. And we did not list all the ones in the high school, but there are currently 39 that are offered, all within the contract of the SPEA and the Board of Education. So we will be funding all of those this year to make sure that our students get every opportunity to enjoy the clubs and activities. If you want to put the next one forward. All extracurricular activities and clubs have been maintained for this coming school year, and the clubs are in the high school that have, the following clubs have budgeted expenses. So there's the marching band registration fees, there's Heroes and Cool Kids membership, the Honor Society dues, student council, and the math and academic teams. So we are funding those as well. We do have some funds that are allocated for some other clubs that are not listed, but we do have, let's call it a little bit of discretionary funds for that purpose alone. Not much, but they're there. Technology. Our South Plainfield School District Technology Department will continue to, and I thought as we were reading this the other day, continue to defend against ever-ending threats to our current landscape and additional vulnerabilities. So I asked exactly, what does that mean? Because I need layman's talk. So what we're doing is we're doing some cyber training for the district faculty and staff to make sure that they understand the importance of cybersecurity awareness and expand upon the foundations and training they've already had. You may be hearing about it. There's a lot of infiltration, people trying to get in to the district, as well as a lot of phishing emails that go out. And once they go in, somebody opens it up. It makes us vulnerable. As we flip to the next one, Mike. We are going to enable multi-factor authentication. We are going to do an at-rest encryption, and we're going to do vulnerability testing. So again, in layman's terms, what that means is you are now going to, if you know how you sign on to something and they ask you, can I send this to your phone? And then you have to put that code in. So that's going to be a part of what we're doing too. So just to make sure that that we have just an extra step to keep us secure. We are going to finalize the Chromebook life cycle at the elementary schools. We're doing redundant course switches. We're going to do the server farm replacement, and we're going to the expansion of our Zoom platform. We have now come to rely on Zoom as we're on it most of our days now. So we're going to expand it to make sure that we're taking advantage of all that it has to offer. Buildings and grounds project. If you had the opportunity to go around the district, you'll see that we have a lot of projects going on, but for next year we have even more in our budget that we're able to support at the moment. We are replacing a much needed roof at Riley School. The middle school lockers are being replaced. The high school business classes are being refurbished. They are in desperate need. We're also looking at a parking lot redesign for the front of Franklin School. And we're also looking at putting up 2 Butler storage buildings that really are, it's a fancy way to say a garage for our storage. So and they'll have electricity in them so we can store some of our things and be able to get to them. That's desperately needed for storage around our district as well. Our district maintenance this coming, the next school year will include our replacement of LED lights, the continued maintenance of our fields, the asbestos abatement, which goes on all the time, our flooring abatement. We are going to repair and maintain some of our fencing, which we are in desperate need of in some of our schools. We have general building maintenance that happens on a daily basis. We are going to be replacing some of the masonry work as well as some paving around the district. We are going to be removing carpet and replacing it with regular flooring up at the high school. And then we're going to be doing interior painting in various locations around the district because we just need some things that need to be improved. As we move on to transportation, we will be maintaining all of our personnel in transportation. We'll be allocating funds for the purchase of 2 54-passenger school buses within the regulations as from the Department of Motor Vehicles. And we'll be purchasing additional cleaning and sanitation equipment to make sure that we have all of our buses cleaned and sanitized for our students and our drivers. Now, for the part everybody's been waiting for, I'm going to ask Mr. Benanti, would you like to jump in here?
Okay. Oop.
I'm sorry, did you want to go ahead and present this area?
Yes, I wasn't sure. I think I froze there for a second, but yes. Hello, everyone. So the total cost of the operating budget is $69,862,743. The operating budget includes the general fund, the operating fund where we pay all of our employees and our bills, the special revenue fund, which includes the grants, and the debt service fund, which includes our principal tax levy or our principal bond payments. Included in the budget, we increased the tax levy by 2%. It's just under $1 million. So the total general fund tax levy is just under $51 million. Included in the budget is a 4% increase for our health benefits. Dr. Alishak mentioned some of the capital projects we're doing. The projected cost for all of those is $2.2 million. The maintenance reserve, we are taking out a little over $1 million to help offset the costs of the ongoing maintenance projects that Mr. Wiggins will be taking on next year. And currently we have a emergency reserve. There's only $319 in there. We are going to deplete that account and use that to offset some of the SRO equipment costs. Mike, could you go to the next slide, please? As everyone knows, we lost $846,819 in state aid from the prior budget year. We worked very diligently to come up with that money in this budget without having to increase the tax levy by more than 2%. Special service costs continue to increase, but thanks to Mr. Brandon, they are not increasing where we can work them into our budget. And these are just some statistics that we have in the budget. The current daily enrollment of the district is 3,351. We currently have 504 full-time employees, and the estimated per pupil cost for next year's budget is $16,906. Mike, could you please, next slide. This is just a breakout of the revenue. As you can see, the tax levy makes up just under 73% of our budget. State aid is 12.5%. Fund balance, which includes the cap reserve, maintenance reserve, and emergency reserve, is just under 8%. The special revenue fund is just under 2%. The debt service, which is the bond payments, principal and interest, is 4%. And miscellaneous revenue that we take in is just under 1%. Mike, next slide, please. This is a breakout of the appropriation. So the total expenditure budget, is $69,862,743. Included in that, salaries make up about 53% of our budget. Fringe benefits, including the 4% increase in the benefits, is about 15%. I won't read all of this, but as you can see, we are spreading out our costs evenly throughout everything that we're running. Mike, next slide, please. So for the tax levy increase, it is including the debt service fund, it is just over $1 million. The prior year, it was and this is all based on the average assessed home value of $122,974. The township provided me with this information. Our average tax increase for this current school year was $120 for the year. Next year, we will see a decrease in that to $80 for the residents. And again, that is based on the $122,947 of the average assessed home value. And that is it. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mr.
I
All
do.
right, let me open it up. Mr. Panisi?
First, great job on the budget. You know, it covered everything that I know that we talked about as a board all through the year, especially maintaining our programs and maintaining our staff, and actually looking to increase those things in the budget that was going to be approved tonight. All of us know, though, that listening to the governor, that we're going to get cut in state aid. And, you know, it could be from 10 to 20%. And I'm just wondering, you know, the board, you know, how we feel about maintaining our programs, maintaining our staff. How have you been able to do anything with that, Noreen? You know, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that we have to look for an A and B budget probably down the road.
Well, I'll let a little bit of our family secrets out here.
Okay.
Just so you know, or the public knows, the board was very adamant in that I was to do my best to stay away from personnel in any way I could possibly stay away. So we had worked together, the central office administration worked together on creating a B budget at our 10% and how far we would get up even if we were at 20%. And at 10%, going by your direction, we would not be touching personnel. And at 20%, we would still be able to, with a little wiggle room, stay away from personnel, but it would be through attrition. So through attrition and retirement. So I wanted to let you know, I heard what you all said in whichever way you said it to me, to make sure, do what you can, do the best for the students. But our, you know, we have programs, we can buy all the programs we want, we can do anything we want, but without those teachers, it's, you know, the programs aren't going anywhere. So I heard what you said. So at this point, as long as we're not cut beyond the 20%, we will be able to maintain our staff as it is, but we would have to, in some cases, closer to 20%, it would have to be done through attrition and non-replacement of some positions, but current people would remain.
Well, I just want to say that's pretty awesome. Knowing that, you know, when you make cuts, you know, people thinking, you know, some people think, you know, just cut out supplies or whatever, but that's not where all the money is.
Right.
So to be able to say that tonight, that we're not going to touch our staff, you know, our current staff, you know, you might have to touch new ones that we were thinking of doing, but current staff is nice. Thank you and good job on A, B, and C.
Thank you.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. This is the preliminary budget that we originally passed to go on to the county.
Yes.
And so it's the same budget, correct?
Yes, it's what we're calling now we're calling our A budget, our actual budget.
Right. Okay. And then thank you to all the staff that helped to formulate that, which you said was central admin, the BA, yourself, and the principals, correct?
Yes.
And then when
And
we
the directors, the supervisors, everybody's a part in what we develop here.
Okay, I think it was a great job. Just and we already at the preliminary budget hearing, we asked the questions. I do have two questions. The middle school lockers, that is the hallway lockers, correct?
Yes.
Not the
lockers, not
the gym locker.
No.
Okay, and then on page 30, what comes under fringe?
I actually, you know, Alex and I, when we went over it, I said, should we break that out? It's everything from your health benefits to they're considered fringe. So any of the, Alex, we had said it's our health benefits, and you threw out a couple of others to me.
Health benefits, payroll taxes, pension payments, any tuition reimbursements, any payouts for sick or vacation time at all on the state chart of accounts flows under fringe benefits.
Okay, because that's the first time I saw that worded like that. So thank you for the explanation. That's my questions.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes, I just have one quick question. On the healthcare cost increase of 4%, is that a guarantee? Is that what our broker has told us that our increase will be for next year, or is that an estimate for us?
He has told us that it would be, the estimate is 4%. We don't know until it's confirmed. So we're looking at 4%. He doesn't think it's going to be any higher than that. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's not, but that's the number he wants us to work with.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Sesselberg? You're muted.
Working on it. Yeah, two quick questions. So we're completely depleting the emergency reserve fund.
Yes,
You only have, that's the one with 319 in it, correct?
yes,
yeah.
only $319, yes.
Okay,
They couldn't have much of an emergency with that.
No, but I mean, is there a backup plan in case we do need other funding, or we'll just have to deal with it? I remember if you eliminated snow plowing money.
No, well, we have,
It's just,
that particular fund is so restricted that sometimes it's just tied. We have enough in our other accounts that if there were to be some type of an emergency, we could utilize the funds that are there.
okay, and in the revenue circle, where does the enterprise dollars come into? Was that in one of the pastel colors?
The enterprise dollars are separate because they are not included in the main operating budget. So that would be before after care, food service, pre-K, anything like that. That is not included in this main operating budget.
Okay, thank you, that's it.
Anything else discussion wise? I just want to also reiterate that you guys did a fantastic job again this year on the budget. It's just for the last 4 years or so, 5 years or so, however long it's been now, it just seems like the budget is getting, done very nicely. And, kudos to the entire administration and business office and everybody that was involved in doing that. And includes the school principals, right, for doing their school budgets and, everybody who was involved. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So any public comments on the budget? Again, if you're in here virtually, you can raise your virtual hand and ask your question. Or Dr. Leshak, could you give that telephone number out again,
Sure.
please?
The number is 908-754-4620, extension 1680.
Okay, we'll give them a minute. Just a reminder,
Just gonna
folks,
hold
if you
that.
do,
Nobody's,
if you do ask a question, the standard policies apply, your name and your address, before you ask your question. No calls, Dr. Leshak?
no, nothing.
Okay, and I see no virtual hands raised, so we'll move along here, and let's go to personnel. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Give me a second. You got to unmute yourself.
Second,
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bove?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Present on 10A, yes on 10B.
Thank you. Mr. Wolak?
Mrs. Wallach, yes.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wolak, I'm sorry. Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes. All right, moving along to finance. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second,
Any discussion? Get a roll call, please.
Mr. Bove?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
yes.
Mrs. Wolak?
Yes.
Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes. Moving along to presentation of committee reports, buildings and grounds. We met yesterday, May 5th. Myself, Tommy, Mr. Cassio, Mr. Both, Mr. Sesselberg, Dr. Leshak, Mr. Benanti, and Mr. Wiggins were all present. We're happy to let you guys know that the window projects have started inside of the district here, and Franklin School is off and rocking and rolling. The new windows are in the back of that school. They probably made a little bit more progress today, and hopefully Franklin will be done by the end of next week. I took a ride over yesterday and I took a look at the back of the building, and I have to say that the windows, they look great. Schools are really going to look nice. Riley's the second school up in the windows. So as soon as we're done with Franklin, the windows have been received for Riley School. So they're going to get rocking and rolling on Riley. as soon as they're done in Franklin, so probably a week out, a week and a half out. We're looking at some sample tinting for the middle school windows to try to increase the security, as well as to tint and cut down on some of the sun that's coming through on those windows there in some of the classrooms. It's difficult. So there's another sample of tinting that's going on that Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Benanti and Dr. Leshak are taking a look at. The painting has started again in the middle school. The painters came back and the school is almost done. It's about 80% or so completed, and they will be done at the end of next week is the target for completion of the interior of the middle school. I guess it's going to look great. The high school, there were doors replaced on the main office, the library, and the athletic director's office. They have new doors there. In the high school as well, the business rooms were walls were put into them to divide them and to make them into 2 rooms. There were temporary structures up there. There's permanent walls that are gone up there. Mr. Wiggins was telling us, I mean, with the unfortunate situation, the old lemons into lemonade, the maintenance department is just doing a great job and are having an opportunity to get a lot of these stuff at the schools that they were hoping to get done over the summertime in a compressed time frame. They're being able to get them done now, and we don't have to bring in outside companies either. So we're saving the district some dollars there as well. Transportation department's going to have another wall put up. They're going to create a break room for the drivers where they're located as well. So that's good. Flooring work in the high school, the second floor is complete. The gym has the work that was done in there is complete. 2 classrooms have been done. There's 1 more classroom to go. The work in the flooring for Kennedy has been completed. Franklin's completed, and there's some stuff to be done. A couple classrooms in the middle school left to be done there. We were told that, and we probably should discuss this and move this over to finance, but the HVAC units are rebates. We're getting rebates in for those. They'll be coming in soon. Talked about potentially doing some paving and some concrete work around the district. Maybe some fence work. Some of the schools are in need of some fencing. Franklin's in desperate need of some fencing. So by the high school, there's some fencing work that needs to be done. And also very happy to tell everybody that the new Riley playground has been manufactured. The manufacturing of that, from what we understand, is complete. And they're just waiting on shipment for that to come now. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get a firm date as of right now for the shipment of that, obviously for obvious reasons of everything that's going on right now. So that was the buildings and grounds report. Any discussion? No. Okay, let's move along to curriculum.
Thank you. The curriculum committee met today at 10 a.m. The members that were there was Stephanie Wallach, Tom Cassio, myself, and Mary Muska was the administrator in charge there. We discussed just 3 items. We were told that the evaluations for 2019-20 due to the COVID and due to the virtual learning, the NJ DOE Department of Ed gave guidelines out as far as non-tenured teachers who normally have a minimum of 3 observations will only be they're only going to use the first 2 when they were present in the year, and use an average of that to get their average for the final evaluation. And for and tenured teachers will just receive an NE, which means not evaluated, because they only need 1, and I know that that's usually done later in the year a lot of times for tenured teachers, and they probably weren't observed, but that's coming out of the guidelines from the Department of Ed. Summer curriculum writing, as you can see from the budget presentation, everything except for the summer. And it's important that we go through this because from where they stand, CUSAC, we're still scheduled for them to come in next year and monitor the district next year. And so we have to make sure our curriculum is up to date. And another thing we discussed was the marking period, grade collection and collection window. We talked about how more third marking period was extended for students to be able to hand in their assignments, give them a grace period. And for the fourth marking period, teachers were kind of asked to teach with compassion, and and try to reach out to students who fall behind or are not attending. And I asked about attendance, and supposedly it's pretty good, but they're reaching out. The principals are reaching out, nurses are reaching out to any students and guidance counselors that are falling back in assignments, because obviously you're not going to have an extension period at the end of the fourth marking period. So that's what they're going to do. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panisi. Any discussion? Finance, Mr. Cassio.
Yes, the Finance Committee met yesterday, May 5th. Myself, Mr. Chapman, Mr. Both, Mr. Panisi, Dr. Leshak, Mr. Bernante, and Mr. Yaziki were present. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of details because a lot of it was discussed already in the budget presentation, also in the B&G minutes. But one of the things I want to touch on was the Aramark update. They lost, they're going to lose basically 3 months of revenue. So we have to discuss their relief that from their guarantee, but Alex is going to be looking into some more figures, and we'll touch back on that next meeting or next month, I would have imagined. Correct, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. We also discussed the RFPs that were going out. I believe that's May 21st. Other than that, I don't want to reiterate and duplicate. So that's about it.
Okay. Any discussion? Moving along, policy.
Okay, policy met May 4th at 3 p.m. Present were myself, Mrs. Miller, Mr. Farinello, and Mr. Sesselberg, and Dr. Leshak was the administrator. We discussed 12 policies. 9 of them were revised. I'm not going to go reading every one because they're all going to be on the first reading. When we do have the first reading, they'll be all on the website that can be read. Also, the board members will receive the ones that see the exact changes. The only ones I'm going to just mention real quickly are the 3 that are new. It's actually only 2 that are new. One of them has to be used in 2 different sections, so it's repeated. But one is the regulation for domestic violence. It's 1581. This is now adding, it's mandatory, and it talks about the New Jersey SAFE Act, which provides an employee who's a victim of domestic violence or sexual violence to take time off. That was something that had to be put in. We didn't have that. The other one is policy 3421.13. It's postnatal accommodations. And those talks about providing an area for employees for lactation space that must be provided and functional for a nursing mother. And that policy we had put in, and it's mandatory also. And it's in 2 sections. That's why it's, if you got my minutes, you see it twice. It's in 2 different sections of the policy. Like I said, the rest of them were revised. Everyone will be able to, go ahead. Sorry. I thought somebody said something. And that's it. It'll be online. It'll be posted before the first reading. So if there's questions, the first reading, fine. If there's questions before that, reach out. But most of them are all just revisions, and sometimes the revisions are statutes and just a change of word here or there. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panisi. Any discussion? Mrs. Boyle?
Mr. Panisi, on the bottom of the minutes, it said that the board will receive the copies of the policy. That'll be within the next couple of days.
Yeah, I was hoping that would come in with the board packet probably Friday.
Okay.
And yeah, that's just so you can see the strikeouts and what was replaced.
It is actually a meeting with Teresa Tempe tomorrow, so that we can update it so it can get out on Friday.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry, then we'll add them for next week's reading. So they'll be bolded on the next agenda.
Any other discussion on policy? Nope. All right, moving along, public relations. We did not have a meeting. Moving on, shared services,
We did not have a meeting.
special education.
We didn't have an official meeting, but I spoke to Mr. Brandon briefly. He just wanted to give a quick update of where the district is right now in regards to special education. They're working with each family as needed. Some needed Chromebooks, some needed modifications, so that's being done so the students receive their education program. CST membership, they're at 100% staff, employees, as well as contractors, so they're all working really hard, making sure IEPs are met. In regards to IEP compliance, they're either doing virtual meetings or the parents are asking for postponement until face-to-faces are allowed. So that's going on. The goal there is hopefully to have them all done. So by the time the summer comes out, it'll be done. ESY, right now they're setting that up virtual per Governor Murphy, but the county, I guess, asked them today, you might want to have an in-person plan in place. These will be IEP driven as they always are, based on the needs of the student. Early intervention, this is the process where when a child is discovered having a special need requirement between ages 1 and 3 by the county or the agency and are referred to the public education system to put them into the preschool. It's kind of a challenge right now where they're doing it a lot on virtual meetings and going by the requirements or the recommendations from the counties and the agencies to refer them to the public districts. They're just taking them in right now, but over time, once we can get back, they'll go ahead and if there's anything in question, they'll make sure that the children that truly need it. And if it's someone that doesn't need it, that got put into it, they'll make sure that they still meet their needs accordingly. The 18 to 21 program, of course, they're not working. So they're still working on their academics, but they're also expanding their day into job searching and application so they can become employed once they graduate out of that program. Out of district placements, he wanted to make sure we all understood that we have our students that are out of district. We're paying for it as a district, but the various schools that are supporting those children, they're also doing a virtual learning. So he's checked with a lot of them to make sure that they're following through, and they are. In regards to that, he is offering, his team is offering support as needed, where some of these students did not receive Chromebooks from their out-of-school placement, their facility, or the other.
I think we lost you there.
Can't hear him.
Keith, you're gone.
Mr. Both, we lost you.
He's still talking.
Yeah, he's still talking. Mr.
Mr.
Both.
Somebody should hold up the unmute
We
sign.
can't-
Yeah. Where's the unmute
Hey,
sign?
Keith, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Hold your mute sign up. We can't hear you.
Oh, it's reversed. Oh, that's right. I gotta read it the other way.
Right. All right. I think we're gonna have to let him sit there and talk to himself for a while. We can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Now,
Yeah,
now
we can hear you
All
now.
right. When did I stop yapping? At what?
Oh, just about a second ago.
Yeah.
All right. So April 23rd, there was a meeting, online meeting for parenting your child with special needs during unpredictable times. 31 people signed into it, so it was very well received. And Mr. Brandon Wanted just made this statement to me. Overall, he's very pleased with the hard work of the students, the staff, as well as the families that are making sure that these kids are getting what they need to be taught. So doing a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Both. Discussion? Mrs. Boyle?
Yeah, I just want to thank Mrs. Maleska and Mr. Brandon for ensuring that students that are sent out of district did receive Chromebooks or the amenities that they needed on their Chromebooks.
Great. All right, moving along. We've got traffic liaison. Anything happening in traffic, Mr. Cassio? You're muted. You're muted.
We just don't have the hang of this yet.
Nothing to report.
Yeah.
All right. CPAC liaison, Mr. Both.
The only thing that they're working on is making sure everything is trying to be put in place to get these scholarships out as they've done in the past. They've had a few discussions on how many scholarships to give out. There's funding available, so they're just working through that with, I believe, one of the CST members that's based up at the high school. So hopefully that's something they're gonna get done for the wave of, or when we do the virtual scholarship night.
Great. All right, County School Board report, Mrs. Miller.
Okay, hang on one sec. I didn't think I was up yet. Okay, I have a little bit to discuss. We've had like 4 meetings since the last time we met. Bruce Young from New Jersey School Board Association, Vice President for County Activities, thanked the Middlesex County officers and NJSBA for holding virtual meetings. COVID-19 resource information can be found on the school board's website. There was a lot of discussion regarding districts wanting schools closed for the remainder of the year. The New Jersey Leadership for Educational Excellence, which is made up of 6 organizations, including NJSBA, sent a letter to Governor Murphy on April 28th, urging the governor to keep Executive Order 107 in effect as applies to school closings through the month of June. We know the governor made the announcement this week that schools in New Jersey are in fact closed for the remainder of the school year. There are 1.4 million students and 100,000 plus staff. A lot of what I'm going to tell you are questions that districts all over the state have. We may not have answers to them, but I want to let you guys know what all the concerns are around the state. Masks. There's a lot of discussion on masks worn in schools once it resumes. Who will provide and pay for? The state, the district, individuals. It could have a huge financial impact on our districts. How do you get younger students to keep them on all day? How often should they be changed? How do you ensure they're being washed if they're cloth? Antibody tests. Will all staff members and students be required to have one? How to prevent parents from sending slightly ill children to school. Also, most students do not show symptoms. What happens if student or staff member gets COVID-19? Does that school get shut down? How to keep staff and students safe. We have staff members that have compromising conditions. They're pregnant, could be seniors, health conditions, staff with young children, special ed students, students with compromising health conditions. How to handle social distancing, desks 6 feet apart, removal bookcases, file cabinets to make room, split sessions in schools, or half students learning virtually, the other half in school, and then you switch around. How do you safely bus students with social distancing? How do districts handle getting their devices back from students for the summer? Discuss returning belongings in school desks and locker back to students. Also letting staff back into schools and classrooms to collect their belongings and close down classrooms for those who couldn't do it in March before the total shutdown. We discussed fall sports. Many districts are planning for no fall sports, possibly no contact sports would be okay, such as golf and tennis. But the issue again is how to transport those students safely to away competitions. Another suggestion was the request for NJSBA to advocate for broadband to be considered a public utility. We also discussed the bridge year for high school juniors and sophomores were discussed for the spring session, which in essence, they would be allowed to enroll in a New Jersey community college as a non-matriculated student and take 12 credits both fall and spring. And then they would be able to return to their high school to participate in spring sports during their freshman year of college. This is up in the air. NJSIAA, we're supposed to be meeting today. Many districts are not in favor of this. So that's like on the back burner for right now. November school board elections. You may have to obtain electronic signatures for your application, but it's too early to say yet. NJSBA is greatly concerned about the October workshop and what's going to happen. Some districts have heard that colleges are not going to accept AP exams from this year. No one was able to confirm that. And we were asked if our guidance counselors have heard anything within our own districts. State aid was discussed, as we just talked about. Revenue is off a cliff. Districts should prepare for this, as most likely our original state aid numbers will not be met. One recommendation made was for boards to approve their certificated staff by May 15th, but hold off on all non-certificated until the district knows their financial positions. We should be discussing with our administration what we can cut from our original budget in case of a reduction. $180 school year stands, but districts get credit for virtual learning days as long as they adhere to the administrative code. Grading is a district and board decision as to how to handle how grading is going to be done for this last semester. Unsung Heroes. For over 30 years, Middlesex County School Boards Association has been honoring 2 student unsung heroes from each high school in Middlesex County. Unfortunately, we were not able to hold our annual dinner and award ceremony this year. A short video was prepared. It went out to all board members and the superintendents. The superintendents in turn forwarded the video to the 2 students being honored. Each student will receive their certificate by mail. I would like to, at this time, congratulate our 2 recipients, Olivia Orlano and Andrew Rockwall, for overcoming obstacles. And through it all, you know, they have, you know, done all of this with determination and positive attitudes. Also in keeping up their grades. They're to be commended for all they have accomplished, and were both worthy of this recognition. So again, congratulations. Delegate Assembly was rescheduled for June 27th, most likely will be held virtually. New Jersey School Boards Association was hoping for the face-to-face at Mercer County College, but it doesn't look hopeful. High school graduation has been a lot of discussion on this. Some districts have decided, others are looking for guidance from everybody else. Administration and the board should be in discussions as to how they will handle graduation this year. Some things have been teachers, administration boards, parade past students' homes and their cars, decorating front doors, windows, and lawns of students' homes. Students parade through their own town in their decorated cars. Graduation held in cars on football fields or empty lots, almost like the old time drive-in movies were, and then of course virtually. In 2 weeks, we are going to be back to discuss how each of our districts are going to be handling graduation. Let's see. Oh, districts who are considering holding graduations and proms after June 30th should remember that students will no longer be covered by the school district's insurance. Our CSA evaluation, the DOE has not yet discussed, so districts should plan on the July 1st deadline date. All parts of the evaluation can be conducted virtually if we desire. Big thing was communication between the board and superintendent in times of crisis, which is what we're in. Must maintain open, direct, and frequent two-way communication between the super and board is extremely important. Most superintendents provide one-way communication and to all board members. If board members have questions or need clarification, they should contact the superintendent. Let's see. There should not be any surprises by either the superintendent or the board. The board should not be hearing information from the superintendent for the first time at a board meeting or from members of the public. It gives the appearance of the superintendent not communicating with the board. Every board member should receive the same info at the same time, with the exception of the board president. The superintendent and president may speak about items separately, but then the superintendent should advise the remainder of the board within a reasonable period of time, usually within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the urgency. There should be collaborative discussions between the board and the CSA. Communication should be clear, detailed, and user-friendly. Board members are the liaisons between the community and the CSA. If we hear something, let the superintendent know. Ensure we tell the parents or anyone else we're speaking to that we have a chain of command. Advise them who they should have a discussion with first and second and so on, in essence, explaining the chain of command. Advise the person that you're speaking with that you will make the CSA aware of any issues or anything they've just talked to you about. The CSA and the board need to communicate now more than ever. Fellow board members should stay connected and in communication with one another. Communication is vital, and they must have had 10 exclamation marks after that. Let's see. Administration should be giving reports to the board regarding things, activities going on in each school, especially those that board members would typically be involved with or would attend if we were not in a COVID world. Then there were a bunch of discussion on things that board members should be asking the administration. Board members should know the district priorities during this time of crisis. They should receive updates on how students are doing with virtual learning. What is going well, what's not going well, what are students struggling with, what are we doing to provide effective teaching and learning, how will we handle remedial help for those falling behind. Boards have to ensure educational expectations are not changing. It is the delivery that may change. We have to make sure we meet high expectations academically. Board should ensure curriculum is not being adjusted in regards to high expectations. Let's see. How will we find achievement gaps? What are they? How will we assess where students are academically at the end of the school year? How will we truly get a read of student development in a comprehensive way? Many districts have reported that younger students especially are struggling with virtual learning. How will curriculum be modified to accommodate what was missed and not covered during shortened learning times during virtual learning? We have to ensure we are ready for September, especially academically. We should have a plan or guidelines on how we will handle this again. The Department of Education will most likely require each district to come up with a virtual educational plan before September, so we should all be prepared for this. And then a report by the superintendent to the board at the end of the year covering what have we done well, what do we need to improve on, what challenges do we face when we open back up, and suggestions for resolving. Board should be debriefed on what has occurred over the last couple of months and kept updated throughout the summer. And everybody should remember this summer is not going to be a typical summer. That was about it.
Any discussion? Mr. Cassia, you're muted.
Quick question, and I don't know if you touched on it. A couple things that came to my mind when you were discussing accommodations for school. One was to discuss how to have lunch.
Well, actually what they've really been talking about is there will be no lunch as we know it. Nobody will be going to cafeterias. Some districts are actually considering using cafeterias as classroom. What they envision is that the lunches will be brought to the students and the students will eat in whatever classroom they're in. Now, this could be a challenge for us with the high school because the kids change classes and, you know, there's another class going on when the next class that left is having lunch. So, you know, there are going to be some difficulties. It's easier at like the elementary level, grant level, but that's all that they've talked about so far. There's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers.
Yeah, two other things came to my mind were, you know, I know a lot of businesses that are trying to open or essential businesses right now. They're doing temporal thermometers for staff as they come in, you know, checking temperatures. And then the other thing is bathrooms, disinfecting, you know, maintaining that. These are all things that people don't think about every day, but are going to be approaching our problem quicker than we realize.
Oh,
no, they said sanitation is going to be a big issue, and it's also going to be a big expense because it's not going to be business as usual when school opens up.
We just received documentation from the Department of Education yesterday asking us to put together, we have to do a reopening plan, which is a much larger document, but we have to do a preliminary plan because we have to address what could possibly happen in the summer as if we were going to be face-to-face, but the governor just gave us 30 more days. It's not going to be face-to-face.
Right.
We still have to plan for it, and all of those things are on the checklist. Sanitation of the bathrooms, what are you doing? How are you handling a sick staff member? How are you handling a sick child? What happens if they, you know, you get a phone call that they're home and they have it? What happens if you are the one that makes the phone call because they're not feeling well? You have all of these things. They're going to talk about how we're going to handle lunch, how we're going to handle breakfast, how instruction is going to happen. That's one of the things we talked about. If we do have to deal with social distancing, it's impossible to do that in the situation that we have now in our buildings. I asked Mr. Wiggins the other day to go into one of the classrooms and just figure out for me what social distancing would look like if we did the 6 feet apart. We happened to go into Mr. Blondo's room in the middle school, just a random classroom. He has 24 desks normally in there, as well as his own desk. When we did 6 feet apart, we could get 9 desks in there, including his teacher's desk. If we took every bookcase, just standard furniture that every teacher has in their room, if we took all of that out and only left his teacher's desk and the student's desk, you could get 12.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's why they were talking about that some schools are going to use their cafeterias, they're going to use their gyms, whatever open space they have, their auditoriums to all conduct classes in.
So that's something that we have to look at.
Sharon, did they discuss anything or did anybody bring up anything about the mandatory recess and how that's going to be handled?
Yeah, they're hoping that there's going to be, you know, he's going to waive, that the governor's going to wind up waiving that.
Okay.
They don't know. It's really up in the air, but that's the thought, is that there will probably come some kind of a waiver, just like we did for the 180 days. There'll be some kind of a waiver that comes through regarding recess.
I have a question. Here's another one at the high school. When the kids have to go back and forth to their classes, how are they going to have enough time to get to their classes if we can only have so many students in the halls at one
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, that's another good one,
That's another
Steph.
thing they're asking us to look at. It may be that there's staggered times passing. Not everybody passes at the same time. This wing passes at this time. This wing passes at this time. Upstairs, downstairs. They're all those things we have to look at. This is just a giant puzzle that we have to try to figure out. And we have a template that we received from Middlesex, and we're following it. But there's a general umbrella of things that we have to do, and then there are things that are unique to each school district.
Thank you, Sharon. That was very informative.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you. Moving along, legislative liaison report, Mrs. Boyle.
Yes. Okay, there was a lot of questions without answers, but a lot of concerns. A senator introduced a bill to allow graduates from the high school to come back in the spring to play their sport. There's insurance factors involved. How do you have a student who's not enrolled in the school play a spring sport once they graduate? So that's being discussed. Also, temperatures for children that ride a bus. They would have to take a temperature before the child got on the bus every day. If the child had a temperature and the parents were at work already, what do you do with the child? So these are a lot of things that that are being discussed. Also, the letter dated April 28th from to the governor, which was from New Jersey School Boards, Association of School Administrators, New Jersey ASBO, NJEA, and New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association, wrote in this letter about their concerns for opening school in the spring and the serious challenges to the staff and the students. Special Education Week is May 11th through the 16th. The governor signed the Executive Order 117, waiving student assessment and educator evaluation for the remainder of the 2019-2020 year. Nurses Day and Teacher Appreciation is ongoing now. All executive board minutes must be made available to the public within 2 weeks of the meeting, whether or not they're approved. They could be marked draft or not approved, but they have to be made available to the public if the public asks. New Jersey School Boards has adopted a list of resources for districts that have suffered the loss of school community members from COVID-19. We continue with our podcast and WebExes and webinars, which continually gives us education in all these different fields. New Jersey School Boards Association is calling for the advancement for the legislation for HR 6563. That's coming from national, state, and county, expanding the internet access to close the homework gap and digital divide. The New Jersey Supreme Court gave a ruling on compensation for unused sick leave. And continue to provide training and daily updates. The Board of Ed members serve as ambassadors to their community. On April 29th, Governor Murphy signed an executive order granting municipalities the option to delay the deadline for tax payments from May 1st to June 1st. Bill 3504 permits the use of virtual remote instruction and to continue maintenance and maintaining the 180-day school requirements. That has not been changed as of yet. And again, as we discussed, communications between the superintendent and the boards was a main topic. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Any discussion? Mrs. Boyle, I have a question.
Yes,
For the, I'm sorry, because I don't know if you gave a number, but for the ruling for the unused sick leave days?
yes, wait, I'll turn back. That was a ruling by the Supreme Court. I don't have the number.
I wasn't worried about the number. I was just wondering if you could tell us, if you know offhand, what the summary was. Do they have to get paid all their sick leave or what?
They have to be, first they have to be vested in order to receive sick leave, sick pay. So when they retire, once they retire, that's when they can receive their sick pay. That's what that Supreme Court ruling was about.
Okay, thank you.
Also, the governor extended his mandates for social distancing through June 5th. That was just done today.
Right. Evan, one more question. You said you mentioned something about resources for communities who lost members to COVID.
Yes, that's on the New Jersey School Board's website. They list resources for the school districts to contact for people that need like emotional help, who have lost community members.
Okay.
Or school members.
That's what I was wondering, if it was for both school members and community
Yes.
members. Okay.
Yes, because we just had a custodian lose her 30-year-old husband, and I guess devastated
Yeah.
to COVID.
And there's not going to be any educator evaluations done this year if you're vested. Is that what I understood?
No, not if you're vested. He waived
I mean, if you're
those.
tenured.
Yes, for tenured. Yes.
So there's no, we don't have to do any educator evaluations this year for tenured teachers.
For tenured, no. They would use the evaluations that were done, the two that they have. Or
That
one
was
that
for
they
the
have.
non-tenured, right?
No, that's for tenured.
Okay.
I think even for the non-tenured, and Dr. Leshak could correct us, I think it's going to be marked as not observed the second half of the year.
Yes, but yes, but that's for non-tenured.
Okay. Okay, thank
I can
you.
hear you, Noreen.
You're muted. You're muted.
Charlie and Finney decided to protect the street again, so I had to put myself on mute. So if you didn't have your evaluations done, you're going to receive if you have an any for anyone that wasn't done. So it was what it was. If you were non-tenured, you needed to receive 2. You had to have 2 of them done. So we only had a couple that still had to have 2 of theirs.
And if you're tenured, no evaluation this year?
Well, everybody had an evaluation this
Yes.
year. You just didn't have to do all of the ones. So anything you had up until the when did we go out? The 16th? Whatever that date was, March 16th, you could
13th.
count what was done before, and the other ones were any.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on that report? Okay, so any public comments on any issues? You can raise your virtual hand or you can call into the telephone number. And Dr. Leshak, if you want to give that one more time, please.
Yes. It's 908-754-4620, extension 1680.
All right.
Nobody's calling.
No.
No.
Okay. All right. At this time, we'll have.
Sorry, Mr. Chapman, can I do this before we leave and then come back because people may not be back? I didn't want to be remiss and I apologize. I wanted to thank our PTOs who I made a phone call to our administrators and I asked them, is there any way you could get the PTO to purchase candles, the flameless candles, so we could take part in the borough project? In an hour, everyone called me back and said, absolutely. We bought the candles, so the last of them were received today. So I wanted to thank the PTOs for that. Also, the PTOs bought banners for the outside of each of the schools. So one day next week, they'll all be going up. So I wanted to thank them as well. And also, I wouldn't want anybody to miss out on the virtual preschool open house, which is happening tomorrow at 6:30, that Miss Maleska and Mr. Brandon worked very hard on. So I want to make sure that that was out there too. So anybody who'd like to take part in that, it's going to be great.
Great.
I have a question about, that's listed as starting at 6:40. The play for the for the Grand School, that starts at 7?
No, the play for the Grant School, I just happened to notice I was making my schedule. The virtual preschool is at 6:30. It's strange. The play is at 6:40.
Right.
And
So-
then they're just happening at the same time.
Okay, well, I have to go back and forth.
Okay, excuse me, Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
sorry, I just received a text from Ms. Jaffe that says I raised my hand.
Correct, she does, Ms. Chaffee does have a virtual hand up. If you'd like, I can allow her to speak now.
Sure.
Ms. Jaffe, I'm gonna click allow to talk and you should be good to go right now.
Look at that. There is a little virtual hand up there. Ms. Jaffe, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. I just wanted to thank the board for your support and Dr. Leshak for all you've done for the teachers and staff. It's been a hard time. It's been a very trying time for us teaching, and you have made it as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And I just want to say thank you, all of your board members, for your support. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs.
Thank
Jaffe.
you.
That's very nice and definitely appreciated by the entire board. Okay. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to board member comments. Mr. Cassio?
Yes. First of all, again, it's Teachers Week. I want to thank all the teachers for their hard work. Believe me, I see it every day with my wife with her class and my son, and God bless you guys. I couldn't do it. Hats off. A couple other things. The signs that are going around town look great. I mean, the SPEA, the PTOs are giving out 4th grade and 8th grade signs now. I'm seeing all over Facebook. These kids, the smiles on their faces is great. So thank you for all your hard work, and PTOs raising money and paying for these signs in SPEA. It's awesome. So keeping these kids involved and, not getting them getting depressed or trying to keep the kids' spirits up, so we've got more stuff coming, and hopefully we can continue the progress we're making in this district. 2 other things I just want to mention. Condolences to the Frank family. Officer Frank was a officer in this town for 30 years and passed this week, and want to give our condolences. Also, to the Dean family, Catherine Dean, speedy recovery. We're all pulling for you. We're all here. If you need anything, you know how to get us. That's all I've got. Everybody be safe.
Thank you, Mr. Cassio. Mrs. Boyle?
Yes, I want to congratulate our high school students, Emma Moran, on the acceptance to the New Jersey Governor's School of Scholars, hosted by Drew University, for the sciences, and Lee Mena for also entering the School of Scholars for engineering. I want to thank Cindy Balestros of Supreme Silkscreen for you and your family's generous donation to date of $725 from your wonderful t-shirt, sweatshirt sale for our SP families in need. Due to the governor's mandate for all non-essential businesses, they had to close for now. As soon as the mandate is lifted, the teas will be made within 1 week and they will be ready for pickup or delivery. Thank you to so many of the first responders, frontline healthcare workers, all the volunteers who have helped do fundraisers. Kathy Herman, Shirley Thompson, Joe Sorrentino, and a part of Joe Sorrentino's is Rich Durso for the signs, and Mr. Poppet from Niswitz. And to all this is to benefit our families and our children in South Plainfield. So thank you. Also, thank you to the Observer and Tap Into for your continued updates, to the mayor and council. Also, Channel 32, people say they can't view anything that's updated. So maybe if somebody could check channel 32, it's keeps showing the reorganization of the council meeting back in January. Thank you to the SPEA, the teachers union, for all the senior class signs. They look great. I know that there are some parents who are hoping to have pictures on their signs, but the SPEA already spent $3,000 to host these signs. So thank you to all the teachers for doing this. Congratulations to our athletic students and the coach's presentation. That was really good. Also, thoughts and prayers to John and Kat Dean and their family, Councilman Pete Smith and his family, Lucy Hudson and her family, and all those families that have been affected by COVID-19. Everybody, please stay healthy, stay safe.
Mr. Schusselberg, you're muted.
Some people prefer it that way. Yeah, I just want to follow up with what some of the other board members said about Teacher Appreciation Week. I mean, it's 1 week, but they should be appreciated. I mean, Teacher Appreciation Week should be 365 days long for all the work that they're doing, and especially this year because they've gone above and beyond what they were, trained for and what they were expected to do this year. And it's been just exemplary what they've done with the staff. Nurses, I know today is Nurses Day, and then with the students and the parents and everybody's been working together. I want to thank whoever put together the sports recognition thing with the down at Jost Field. That was very much appreciated by the people that I've heard from. And also everything like Mrs. Boyle said and others at the signs by the SPEA, the recognition that the PTOs have done for their students. It's going to be a senior year and an end of a school year like no other, and any type of recognition or remembrance is good, however we can do it. And it's nice to know that that's in the forefront of everybody's mind, that it's the students' year, and they should be appreciated. I want to thank the administrative staff for the great job putting the budget together in all its forms. But I know it's going to be tough going forward. And a last thing, we had a student from town here, Brett Temple. He performed on the high school stage in a show I directed when he was in 6th grade. He went to Middlesex County Votech in East Brunswick, but he went through our elementary schools, and he was on Bull this past Monday in a significant role. So that just shows that we've had a few students come from our district that have gone onto the arts. So if you can catch it on demand or when it reruns, he really did a good job. So we should be proud of him, and that's it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Susselberg. Any other board member comments? Mrs. Miller?
Yes, I pretty much want to express what others have done for Teacher Appreciation Day. When you were all notified on the Friday in March that our schools would be closed for a week, no one imagined schools would be closed until the end of the school year, and no one will be allowed back into our schools. Suddenly, you were thrust into the world of virtual teaching with most of your supplies and teaching tools still in those locked classrooms. But you all rose above the many challenges and have made it work. So this year, more than ever, you are truly appreciated for all you have done and continue to do for our students, parents, and the district. There are not enough words to express how grateful we are for all of you. Thank you. And I just want to say, as everyone else has, a great job to everyone who worked on all of our 3 budgets. And Bill, I did see Brett Temple in the episode of Bull, and he did do a good job.
Any other board member comments? Thank you, Mrs. Miller. No. Okay, so I'm not going to be duplicative on what everybody said. What I do want to say is I want to encourage everybody to participate in the Light the Fight event. I think that with this great community that we have here, and the hearts that everybody has, we can really make that middle school lawn look unbelievable. I mean, it can really has the opportunity to be something spectacular. So I want to urge everybody to participate in it. Get the mason jar with the candle in it, and, you know, let's get that down. But one thing that I wanted to ask Dr. Leshak is, does it have to be a flameless candle?
No, the candle for the front lawn is just a candle.
Oh, it can be a regular.
In a jar, and we'll light it. We brought scriptos. I asked at the faculty meeting on Tuesday if there are any teachers who'd be willing to come and help. We'll social distance, because I really am hoping there'll be so many that it'll take us a while to light them up. You have no idea how many emails I received from teachers already.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic thing. I can't wait to see what it looks like, and I know that we will. Our family will definitely be participating in it. And also, just one other thing that I saw that in the community is, I saw an article about the community is looking for people to be pen pals with some of the senior citizens in town now. This is really, really hard on, you know, it's hard on everybody, but it's really hard on the elder population. And a lot of these people, you know, they're lonely. They haven't been able to get out. They've been, and, you know, they're looking for anything that can, you know, uplift their spirits. You know, today I was on a telephone with one of my clients, an 81-year-old woman who we spent about 35 seconds talking about business. And then I spent about 15 minutes on the telephone just listening to her talk, and, you know, and her telling me about, and hers, you know, specifically, oh, I don't see anybody and all that. So, you know, any interaction that we can give to those people, I want to encourage as many people as we can to participate in that Pen Pal program. If I'm not mistaken, it's a combined effort between the senior center and the recreation department, if I'm not mistaken. But I think the Miss Alano is heading it up. So I want to encourage everybody to do that. So at this point, the board needs to go into executive session to discuss client attorney privilege information as well as personnel issues. We'll be back in probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and action will be taken. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Okay. John? Oh, you're seconding it, John? Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're going to go to executive session now. That was the second link that we all got emailed to us from Miss Maleska.
Give us a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody, bring the meeting back to order. Can I get a roll call, please? You're muted, Mr. Benanti. You're muted.
Mr. Both?
Sure.
Is he here?
Yep.
Am I frozen?
He said here.
Okay, I think I froze for a second. Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Panisi?
Here.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mrs. Wolak?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here. Mr. Zittimer, you have a resolution to read in?
Do indeed. Resolved that the Board of Education hereby affirms the administration's finding in the HIB appeal case, which was heard this evening in executive session. And be it further resolved that Board Counsel is directed to prepare a written decision to the grandparent who appealed, explaining the basis for the board's decision as required by statute and policy, and her right to appeal to the Commissioner of Education.
Okay. We will vote on this, correct?
Yes, somebody needs to move
Motion.
it. Second.
Motion to add.
Second.
Okay. Added. Now do we need another motion on the resolution? No? That's good.
Mo-
Roll
Yeah.
call.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Both?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Okay. Mr. Sesselberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolak?
Yes.
Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes. All right. Can I get a motion to approve next week's agenda?
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Both?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle,
Yes.
Mr. Farinella,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Panisi,
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolak,
Yes.
Mr. Cassio,
Yes.
Mr. Chapman.
Yes. Motion to adjourn. All in
Motion.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey.
Okay,
9
stay
o'clock.
healthy, everybody. Have a nice night. Meeting
Good night,
adjourned.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Aye.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night, guys.